Ambassador Kang De-ho walked slowly through the massive doors of the council chamber. His black suit looked small against the huge alien architecture. The ceiling stretched high above him, covered in strange lights that hurt human eyes. He had been coming to this place for 15 years, but today felt different. The Galactic Council sat in their floating chairs, looking down at him like he was an insect. Velthari, the council chairman, glowed with blue energy. His voice echoed through the chamber like thunder. "Human representative," Velthari said, "we have made our decision about your people's request." Daiho stood straight and waited. Behind him, Dr. Yoon Bo-ra held a datapad with shaking hands. She had worked for months preparing their proposal. The other human diplomats sat in the small viewing area, their faces tense. "The council votes to classify humanity as probationary members," Velthari announced. "This status will continue for another 50 years. The words hit Daiho like a punch to the stomach. 50 more years. Humanity had already served the council, faithfully for 5 decades. They had fought in 3 galactic wars. They had shared their technology. They had followed every rule. Groktar, the massive alien military advisor, laughed. His voice sounded like rocks falling down a mountain. "Humans think they deserve equal treatment? They are barely above animals." Other council members made sounds of agreement. Wispelon, the insect-like counselor, clicked his mandibles. "Humans breed too fast. They ask too many questions. They need more time to learn proper behavior." Daiho felt anger burning in his chest, but his face stayed calm. Years of diplomatic training helped him control his emotions. "Honored Council," he said, "humanity has served faithfully. We have proven our worth many times. Have you?" Nexavala, the tentacled trade minister, waved her arms. "Your ships are slow, your weapons are weak. Your planets produce little of value. What worth do you speak of?" Dr. Bo-ra stepped forward. Her voice was quiet but clear. "If I may address the council," she said. Velthari's energy form flickered with annoyance. "The human scientist may speak briefly." Bo-ra activated her datapad. Holographic images appeared in the air above them. "These are medical records from the Kepler plague outbreak 12 years ago. Human doctors saved 47 million alien lives." "Ancient history," Groktar growled. "These are engineering reports from the spiral arm mining disaster," Bo-ra continued. "Human rescue teams saved entire colonies when the gravity wells collapsed." "Luck," Wisplon clicked. "These are agricultural reports showing how human farming techniques increased food production on 73 worlds by 300%. Orthmec, the ancient crystalline counselor, spoke for the first time. His voice sounded like glass, breaking. "Humans excel at fixing problems. This is not the same as leadership." Daiho watched the council dismiss every achievement, every sacrifice, every life lost in service to their so-called galactic community. His jaw tightened. "Furthermore," Velthari continued, "the council has decided that human expansion must be controlled. Your species will be relocated to designated sectors. This will ensure galactic stability." "Relocated?" Daiho's voice stayed level, but his eyes grew cold. "Your current colonies are too scattered," Nexavala explained. "Too close to important trade routes. The council needs those systems for more suitable species." Bo-ra's datapad trembled in her hands. "Honored Council, those colonies are home to over 2 billion humans. Many families have lived there for generations." "They will adapt," Groktar said with another laugh. "Or they will not. Either way serves the galaxy's greater good." The chamber filled with alien sounds of approval. Clicks, growls, and electronic beeps echoed from the floating chairs. Daiho stood perfectly still as his world crashed around him. "There is one more matter," Velthari said. His blue glow grew brighter. "Recent investigations have revealed unauthorized genetic sampling from human populations. The council requires access to this biological data." Bo-ra went pale. "What genetic sampling? We never authorized." "Authorization was not required," Wispelon interrupted. "The samples were taken for research purposes. Human genetic material shows interesting adaptability traits." Daiho felt something break inside his chest. You have been experimenting on my people without permission? Not experimenting, Orthmec corrected. Studying, learning. Your species may contribute to galactic science even if you cannot contribute to galactic leadership. The anger Deho had been controlling for years finally reached its breaking point. But instead of exploding, it crystallized into something harder and colder than diamond. His voice became quiet and dangerous. Let me understand this clearly, he said. You are demoting us to probationary status despite 50 years of loyal service. You are stealing our homes and giving them to other species, and you have been conducting illegal medical experiments on human civilians. The Council's actions are always legal, Velthari said dismissively. We are the law in this galaxy. Deho nodded slowly. I see. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small communication device. The aliens watched with bored interest as he activated it. Admiral Park, Deho said calmly into the device. Execute Protocol 7. The chamber fell silent. Even the alien counselors seemed confused by the strange human phrase. Sir? Came a woman's voice from the communicator. Are you certain? Completely certain, Admiral. We are done here. Protocol 7 confirmed. All units standing by. Deho put the device away and looked up at the council. For the first time in 15 years, he smiled. It was not a nice smile. What is Protocol 7? Velthari demanded. You will find out soon enough, Deho replied. He turned to Bora and the other human diplomats. Pack your belongings. We are leaving. Leaving? Groktar stood up from his floating chair. His massive frame cast a shadow over the humans. You cannot simply leave the council. No one leaves the council. Deho looked up at the huge alien warrior without fear. Watch. See? He walked toward the chamber doors, his footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. The other humans followed him. Bora clutched her datapad like a shield, but her spine was straight with pride. You are making a grave mistake, human, Velthari called after them. Your species needs the Council's protection. The galaxy is dangerous for those who stand alone. Deho stopped at the doors and turned around one last time. The alien counselors stared down at him from their floating thrones, expecting him to beg or apologize or show proper fear. Instead, he straightened his tie and smiled again. Honored Council, he said politely. In approximately 6 hours, you are going to learn something very important about humanity. We have been excellent students during our 50 years of service. We have learned your strengths, your weaknesses, and your deepest fears. His smile grew wider and more dangerous. But you never learned ours. The massive doors closed behind him with a sound like thunder. The Galactic Council sat in confused silence, not yet understanding that they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. In space stations and colonies across the galaxy, Admiral Park Sujin's voice crackled over secure human communication. Channels. All units, this is command. Protocol 7 is now active. Begin immediate withdrawal. The exodus starts now. The age of human submission was over. What came next would shake the galaxy to its core. Admiral Park Sujin stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching dozens of screens that showed human ships across the galaxy. Each screen displayed a different colony, a different world, a different group of humans preparing to leave everything behind. Her hands rested calmly on the command console, but her heart was racing. Admiral, came a voice from her communications officer. All fleet commanders are standing by. Exodus Protocol 7 is ready to execute. Sujin nodded. She had planned this day for 20 years, hoping it would never come. Now that it was here, she felt both sadness and excitement. Sadness for what they were leaving behind. Excitement for what they would become. Begin Phase 1, she ordered. All civilian populations start evacuation immediately. Across the galaxy, the largest movement of people in galactic history began. On the farming world of New Sol, Kim Hai-wan stood in the town square addressing 5,000 colonists. She was officially the director of agricultural development, but the aliens did not know her real job. She had been preparing for this day since she arrived 10 years ago. Pack only what you need, she told the worried faces. Our ships will arrive in 6 hours. Leave everything else behind. "But this is our home," an old farmer called out. "My family has worked this land for 30 years. Haiwan felt pain in her chest for all the homes they were abandoning. "I know it hurts, but we are going to build something better, something that truly belongs to us." She activated her communicator. "Phoenix Base, this is Harvest Moon. 5,000 souls ready for pickup. Confirmed Harvest Moon. Transport fleet incoming." Similar scenes played out on 200 worlds. Human colonies that had taken decades to build were being abandoned in hours. But these were not panicked refugees, running in fear. These were organized citizens following a plan that had been prepared for years. Captain Lee Taemin flew his stealth fighter through the Zephyr system, invisible to alien sensors. His mission was different from the evacuation fleets. He was here to collect something the aliens would never give back willingly. "Ghost Squadron, this is Ghost Leader," he said into his comm. "Target is the research station on Zephyr 3. Intel confirms they have 50 human prisoners being used for genetic experiments." "Copy, Ghost Leader," came the reply from his wingman. "Stealth systems are active. We are invisible." Taemin's ship was a masterpiece of human engineering that the aliens had never seen. It could bend light around itself, making it completely invisible. It could move through space without creating any energy signature. The aliens thought human technology was primitive. They were very wrong. His squadron of 12 ships approached the alien research station. The station was huge, with 4 arms, spinning slowly around a central hub. Alien ships patrolled nearby, but they could not see the humans coming. "Sensors show the human prisoners are in Section C," Taemin reported. "We go in fast and quiet. No alien casualties unless they try to stop us." The human ships phased through the station's shields like they were not there. Inside the station, alien scientists worked on their experiments, not knowing that death was walking through their halls. Taemin materialized inside the prison section. His team moved like shadows, their advanced suits making no sound. They found the human prisoners in medical cells, weak from months of testing. "We are here to take you home," Taemin whispered to a young woman who looked at him with hope and fear. "Home?" she whispered back. "But the council—" "Forget the council," Taemin said. "Humanity is free now." His team carried the prisoners to their ships. As they prepared to leave, alarms began sounding throughout the station. But by the time alien security arrived, the humans were already gone. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, alien systems began to fail. On the trade hub of Commerce Prime, Nexvala watched in horror as her financial networks crashed. Numbers that should have shown trillions of credits now showed only error messages. "What is happening?" she screamed at her technicians. "We do not know, Minister," one of them replied. "The quantum processing cores are shutting down one by one." What Nexvala did not know was that humans had designed those processing cores. Dr. Yoon Bora had built hidden shutdown codes into every system humans had ever worked on. With a single command from Admiral Sujin, 20 years of human engineering began to disappear. In the military headquarters on Fortress Alpha, Groktar pounded his massive fists on his command table. Half of his weapon systems were offline. His communication networks were failing. His ships could barely navigate between star systems. "How can this be happening?" he roared. "Our technology is superior to human technology." His chief engineer, a spider-like alien named Clix, clicked nervously. "General, we have discovered something troubling. Most of our advanced systems contain human-made components. They appear to be shutting themselves down." Groktar's eyes went wide. "What do you mean, human-made components?" "For the past 50 years, humans have been helping us improve our technology," Clix explained. "We thought we were using them, but now it appears they were using us." On the Council homeworld, Velthari's energy form flickered with panic as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Transportation systems were failing. Medical equipment was shutting down. Even basic communication devices were going offline. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Humans are primitives. Their technology is decades behind ours." Orthmech, the ancient crystal being, spoke slowly. Perhaps we have made an error in judgment. What kind of error? We assumed that because human ships looked simple, human technology was simple. We assumed that because humans asked for our help, they needed our help. We assumed that because humans served us loyally, they were incapable of betrayal. Wispelan's hive mind buzzed with confusion. Are you saying the humans lied to us? I am saying, Orthmec replied, that we may have been fools. Back on the Indomitable, Admiral Sujin watched the reports coming in from across the galaxy. The evacuation was proceeding perfectly. Captain Taemin's rescue missions were successful. Director Kim Hai-Won's sabotage operations were working better than expected. Admiral, her tactical officer reported, we have alien warships approaching, human colonies in the outer rim. They appear to be trying to stop the evacuation. Sujin smiled. She had been waiting for this moment for 20 years. Signal the fleet, she ordered. Drop stealth protocols. Let them see what human ships really look like. Across the galaxy, human ships that had appeared old and slow, suddenly, transformed. Their hulls shifted and flowed like liquid metal. New weapon systems emerged from hidden compartments. Engine systems that had been hidden for decades came online with a roar of power. The alien warships that had come to stop the human evacuation found themselves facing vessels that moved like nothing they had ever seen. Human ships danced through space, turning and accelerating in ways that should have been impossible. Captain Taemin led a squadron against 3 alien battleships. The aliens fired their weapons, but the human ships seemed to step sideways through space, avoiding every shot. How are they moving like that? The alien commander screamed. His question was answered when Taemin's ship fired a single shot that disabled all 3 battleships without destroying them. The aliens found their ships floating helplessly as their systems shut down. This is Captain Lee Taemin of the Human Liberation Fleet, came a voice over their communications. Your ships are disabled, but your crews are safe. Do not follow us. Do not try to stop the evacuation. If you do, the next shot will not be so gentle. The alien ships watched helplessly as the last human evacuation fleet disappeared into hyperspace, moving at speeds that should have torn their ships apart. On Nexus Station, the Galactic Council gathered in emergency session. Their grand chamber, which had seemed so impressive when they were dismissing human concerns, now felt like a tomb. They are gone, Velthari announced to the assembled councilors. All of them. Every human colony, every human ship, every human citizen has vanished. Where did they go? Nexavala demanded. We do not know. Our tracking systems cannot find them. Groktar slammed his fist on his chair. Then we hunt them down. We make them pay for this rebellion. With what ships? Velthari asked quietly. Half our fleet is disabled. Most of our weapon systems are offline. Our navigation computers are failing. How long until we can repair the damage? Wispelan clicked anxiously. Orthmec's crystal form grew dim. That is the wrong question. The right question is, how long can our civilization survive without the humans we just drove away? The council sat in stunned silence as the true scope of their mistake began to become clear. They had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years, but they had ruled it with human help, human innovation, and human loyalty. Now the humans were gone, and the galaxy was beginning to fall apart. 3 weeks after the humans disappeared, the galaxy was dying. Velthari floated in the emergency council chamber, his blue energy form flickering like a dying light bulb. Around him, the other council members looked smaller than before. Their grand chairs seemed too big for beings who were slowly realizing they were not as powerful as they thought. Report, Velthari said weakly. Nexvala's tentacles trembled as she spoke. 47 worlds are reporting food shortages. The human-designed crop systems have failed completely. Without their genetic modifications, the plants are dying. What about medical supplies? Wispelan asked, his insect voice more of a whisper than a click. 70% of our medical facilities are offline, Groktar replied. The massive warrior looked tired and old. Human medical technology was integrated into everything. Without it, our people are dying from diseases that were cured decades ago. Orthmech, the ancient crystal being, spoke slowly. The Kepler system has gone completely dark. All power generation has stopped. The humans maintained the fusion reactors there. How many dead? Velthari asked. 6 million so far, Nexvala whispered, and the number grows every day. The silence in the chamber was heavy with shame and fear. These beings had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. Now they were helpless children crying for their parents to come home. What about the search fleets? Groktar asked. Gone, Velthari replied. All 12 search fleets have disappeared. We sent our best ships to find the humans. None have returned. Wisplon's hive mind buzzed with confusion. How is that possible? We sent 300 ships. The last transmission we received was from Admiral Korth's flagship, Orthmech said. He reported finding a star system that did not exist on any of our maps. Then his signal cut off. Unknown to the Council, Admiral Korth's ships had found something that terrified them. An entire solar system surrounded by a barrier of pure energy. Ships that tried to pass through the barrier simply vanished. Those that got close enough reported seeing impossible things. Planets floating without orbits, structures the size of moons, and space itself bending like water. The humans had not just hidden themselves. They had created a fortress that defied the laws of physics. On the trade world of Commerce Prime, riots had broken out. Different alien species fought over the remaining supplies as their economies collapsed. The elegant space stations that had once been symbols of galactic unity now looked like slums. Where are the humans? Angry aliens shouted in the streets. Bring back the humans. It was a cry heard across the galaxy. The same species that had laughed at human inferiority now begged for human help. On the military world of Fortress Alpha, Groktar stood in his war room looking at maps that no longer made sense. Without human navigation technology, his fleets were lost in space. Without human communication systems, he could not coordinate his forces. Without human engineering, his weapons were breaking down. Sir? His aide clicked nervously. We have received a message. From whom? We are not sure. The transmission came from empty space. Groktar's eyes narrowed. Show me. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a human woman in a military uniform. Admiral Park Soo-jin looked directly at Groktar with calm, confident eyes. General Groktar, she said. My name is Admiral Park Soo-jin of the Human Liberation Fleet. You have been looking for us. Groktar leaned forward. Where are you, human? Closer than you think, farther than you can reach. Soo-jin's smile was not friendly. I have a message for the Galactic Council. You have 30 galactic standard days to dissolve your government. What comes next will be decided by all species, not just the few who think they deserve to rule. You cannot threaten the Council, Groktar roared. We are the power in this galaxy. Are you? Soo-jin asked quietly. Look around, General. How much power do you have when your lights do not work? When your ships cannot fly? When your people are starving? The hologram flickered and changed. Now it showed images from across the galaxy. Failed crops, darkened cities, disabled fleets, rioting, crowds. This is what happens when you treat your allies like slaves. Soo-jin continued. You never learn to do anything for yourselves. You only learn to take from others. What do you want? Groktar asked through gritted teeth. Justice, equality. A galaxy where every species has a voice. The hologram began to fade. 30 days, General, choose wisely. The transmission ended, leaving Groktar staring at empty air. 2 months after the human exodus, the Galactic Council was fracturing. Velthari no longer glowed with confident blue energy. His form was pale and weak as he addressed the emergency assembly. Hundreds of alien species had demanded representation in the crisis. The Grand Chamber was packed with beings who had never been allowed to speak before. The Council has decided to accept the human terms, Velthari announced. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some aliens cheered, others screamed in anger. The council members who had ruled for so long looked like prisoners awaiting execution. "You cannot surrender to terrorists," shouted a reptilian delegate from the Skarn Empire. "Terrorists," replied a small furry being from the Lox colonies. "The humans never attacked anyone. They just stopped helping us. Maybe we should ask why. We needed their help so badly." Groktar stood slowly from his chair. The massive warrior looked around the chamber at the hundreds of species he had never bothered to learn about. "I fought humans in 3 wars," he said quietly. "I thought they were weak because they tried to avoid killing. I thought they were stupid because they asked questions instead of following orders. I was wrong." The chamber fell silent. "The humans were never weak," Groktar continued. "They were holding back. They were being merciful. And we mistook mercy for weakness." A new voice spoke from the back of the chamber. Everyone turned to see Ambassador Kang De-ho walking down the center aisle. He looked exactly the same as when he had left 2 months ago, but somehow he seemed different, more confident, more dangerous. "Honored delegates," De-ho said as he reached the center of the chamber, "I bring greetings from the Human Republic and our allies." "Allies?" Velthari asked weakly. "Did you think humans were the only species you mistreated?" De-ho smiled. "We have been talking to the Lox, the Yinti, the Kresh, and 47 other species that the Council ignored. They have been very interested in joining our new government." Behind De-ho, representatives from dozens of primitive species entered the chamber. Species that the Council had barely acknowledged were now standing as equals beside humanity. "This is impossible," Nexavala whispered. "These species are barely capable of spaceflight." A tall, elegant being stepped forward. Her skin was silver, and her eyes were black as space. "I am Commander Zara of the Yinti Federation. We have been capable of faster-than-light travel for 300 years. We simply chose not to share that information with species who saw us as inferior." More voices spoke up around the chamber. "The Lox have mastered genetic engineering that surpasses anything in Council space. The Kresh have developed energy shields that make your weapons useless. The Morty can manipulate gravity itself." Velthari's energy form began to collapse. You all lied to us?" "We learned from watching the humans," De-ho replied. "When you meet a bully, you do not show him your strength. You wait for the right moment to reveal it." Dr. Yun Bo-ra entered the chamber carrying a datapad. She looked up at the council members with scientific curiosity, like they were interesting specimens. "Honored Council," she said. "Our research over the past 50 years has revealed something fascinating. Every species in this galaxy is more advanced than you believed. Everyone was hiding their true capabilities from you." "Why?" Orthmech asked, his crystal form dim with shame. "Because you punished success," Bo-ra replied simply. "Any species that showed too much advancement was either conquered or enslaved. So everyone learned to appear weak and primitive." She activated her datapad, and holographic images filled the chamber. Images of incredible cities hidden in asteroid fields, fleets of advanced ships concealed in parallel dimensions. Technologies that made Council science look like stone tools. "The galaxy you thought you ruled never existed," De-ho said quietly. "You ruled only the parts we allowed you to see." Captain Lee Tae-min materialized in the center of the chamber. His stealth suit made him appear like a ghost becoming solid. Council guards reached for their weapons but found their hands would not move. "Paralysis field," Tae-min explained casually. "Human technology. We could have used it any time in the past 50 years, but we chose not to." He looked up at the council members with pity in his eyes. "You never understood what made humans dangerous," he said. "It was not our weapons or our ships or our technology. It was our patience. We can wait decades for the right moment. We can pretend to be weak while we grow strong. We can smile and serve while we plan your downfall." Director Kim Hye-won stepped out of the shadows near the chamber walls. Somehow she had been standing there the entire time without anyone noticing. "The Council's reign is over," she announced. "The new Galactic Union will be governed by representatives from all species. Every world will have a voice. Every being will have rights." Velthari's energy form flickered desperately. And if we refuse? Deho's smile became sad. Then you will join the Destroyer Empire. The chamber fell silent. The Destroyer Empire had been the Council's greatest enemy, a massive fleet of machines that had threatened the galaxy 50 years ago. The Council had claimed victory in that war, but now, the Destroyers were not destroyed. Deho continued. They were convinced to leave. By us. We negotiated their withdrawal in exchange for a promise that we would create a better galaxy. They are still out there, waiting to see if we succeeded. If we fail, Bora added, if the galaxy returns to the old ways of oppression and inequality, the Destroyers will return, and this time they will not negotiate. The Council members stared at each other in horror. They had built their power on lies, and now those lies were collapsing around them. You have a choice, Deho said gently. Join us in building something better or be remembered as the last tyrants of the old galaxy. 1 year later, the old council chambers stood empty and dark. Dust covered the floating chairs where beings had once declared themselves masters of the galaxy. The grand ceiling that had impressed so many visitors now seemed like a monument to arrogance. The new Galactic Union met in a different place. The assembly hall was circular, with no elevated positions. Every species sat at the same level. Every voice carried equal weight. And at the center, where decisions were made by consensus rather than force, stood a simple podium where the elected Director General addressed the United Galaxy. Ambassador Kang Deho had been chosen as the first Director General, but he insisted on being called simply Representative Deho. He wore the same black suit he had worn to council meetings for 15 years, but now it represented hope instead of submission. Friends and colleagues, Deho said to the packed assembly hall, we gather today to celebrate not just the first anniversary of the Galactic Union, but the first year of true peace this galaxy has known in 1,000 years. The hall erupted in cheers from hundreds of different species, sounds that had never been heard together before. Human applause, Lox purring, Yinti harmonic resonance, Kresh subsonic rumbles, and dozens of other expressions of joy. In the front row, the former council members sat quietly. They had been given positions as advisors in the new government, but their power was gone forever. Velthari's energy form glowed softly as he listened to species he had once ignored now contributing to galactic decisions. The transition has not been easy, Deho continued. Rebuilding a galaxy based on cooperation instead of domination required all of us to change our thinking. Admiral Park Soo-jin sat in the military section, wearing a new uniform that bore the symbols of 49 different species. The Galactic Defense Force she now commanded was not an army of conquest, but a fleet dedicated to protecting the freedom of all beings. Dr. Yoon Bo-ra had been appointed as the Director of Scientific Cooperation. Her research teams included scientists from every member species, sharing knowledge that had been hoarded for centuries. Medical advances that would have taken millennia to develop were being created in months. Captain Lee Tae-min commanded the YAR Exploration Division, leading mixed-species crews to find other civilizations that might want to join the Union. His ships no longer needed to hide their capabilities. They flew openly as symbols of what cooperation could achieve. Director Kim Hai-won served as the Truth and Reconciliation Coordinator, helping former enemies learn to work together. Her greatest success had been the integration of the former council species into the new government without bloodshed or revenge. We have learned that diversity is not weakness, Deho said, his voice carrying to every corner of the hall. Different perspectives make us stronger. Different abilities make us more capable. Different cultures make us more complete. In the audience, beings who had been enemies for centuries sat side by side. Groktar, the former military commander, now served as a strategic advisor to the Defense Force. His warrior culture had found new purpose in protecting the innocent instead of conquering the weak. Nexavala had become a trade coordinator, using her financial skills to ensure fair distribution of resources across the galaxy. The tentacled alien who had once dismissed human worth now worked closely with human economists to eliminate poverty on dozens of worlds. Wisplon's hive mind had learned to function as individuals while maintaining their collective consciousness. They served as communication specialists, helping different species understand each other's languages and customs. Even Orthmech, the ancient crystal being, had found new purpose as a historical advisor, sharing knowledge from the old empire to help the new union avoid the mistakes of the past. But our greatest achievement, Deho continued, is not what we have built, but what we have prevented. The hall fell silent as everyone remembered the threat that still existed beyond their borders. 6 months ago, the destroyer fleet had returned to observe the new galaxy. The massive mechanical ships had hung in space at the edge of Union territory, watching and evaluating. Their artificial intelligence had spent weeks analyzing the new civilization. Finally, their leader had sent a single message. Acceptable. Withdrawal continues. Probability of return, negligible. The galaxy had held its breath until the destroyer ships vanished back into the darkness between stars. The test had been passed. The new order was strong enough to maintain itself. We did not win this peace through conquest, Deho said, his voice filled with emotion. We won it through the radical idea that every being deserves respect, every species deserves representation, and every world deserves protection. The applause that followed was thunderous, but it was not the sound of subjects cheering their masters. It was the sound of equals celebrating their shared success. After the assembly ended, Deho stood alone on the observation deck of Union Station looking out at the stars. Ships from dozens of species moved peacefully through space, their running lights creating a beautiful tapestry against the darkness. Dr. Bora joined him at the window. "Do you think it will last?" she asked. Deho was quiet for a long moment. "I think we have learned something important. The universe is vast and dangerous, but it is also full of wonders we can only discover together. The old council thought strength came from domination," Bora said. "We have proven that true strength comes from cooperation." A new ship appeared in the distance, sleek and beautiful. It bore the symbols of 3 different species working together on a joint exploration mission. As they watched, more ships joined it, until a small fleet of mixed crews was heading out into the unknown. 50 years ago, humans were considered barely above animals, Deho said with a smile. Today, we help lead a galactic civilization, not through force or deception, but through the simple belief that everyone deserves a chance to be more than they appear. The stars shone brightly through the station's windows, each one representing worlds where beings were free to reach their full potential. The galaxy that had once been ruled by fear and prejudice was now guided by hope and understanding, and in the depths of space, the destroyer machines continued their eternal patrol, satisfied that intelligence and compassion had triumphed over ignorance and cruelty. The test was complete. The galaxy had evolved. The age of human submission was over. The age of galactic cooperation had begun, and the universe itself seemed brighter for the change. The end.